And we begin tonight with breaking news in North Jefferson County as a fire rips through an apartment building. Good evening, I'm Natalie Tejeda. Thank you for joining us this Sunday. Several fire trucks are on scene at the Brookstone apartment complex on Pinson Valley Parkway. CBS 42's Tiffany Westry joins us live from the scene. Tiffany.
Natalie, a few people who were standing outside the building you see behind me have been treated for smoke inhalation, and Battalion Chief Donald Jones also tells me that a firefighter fell through a hole in the ceiling of one of these units. Now, he wouldn't go into details about the extent of his injuries, but I am told that he is expected to recover. And you can see where the fire began in the unit without a window here. Fire crews have just wrapped up putting out hot spots and sort of narrowing down what they believe is the cause of this fire. Now, I spoke with several people who live in this building, and they tell me that this was a grease fire that spread very quickly. There are about 3 units that have been damaged. The apartment management has been out here, and those who are without a place to sleep tonight will indeed have one. They are providing somewhere for them to stay, and the Red Cross is out here assisting those who have been displaced from this fire. For now, live in Birmingham, Tiffany Westry, CBS 42 News.
We're talking a big change in temperatures, 40-degree difference coming up in the next hour or two for most of Alabama. Look at the winter weather advisories. You have a winter storm warning in the pink and a winter weather advisories in the blue, and we even have a little bit of action here in Alabama. We do have a freezing rain advisory from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. for places like Hamilton, Haleyville, Arley, Jasper, Carbon Hill, Fayette, and Vernon. Few spots will have some glazing in the morning. Right now, we're just seeing rain show up on here, and with our interactive, we can show you a little bit about what's going on out in West Alabama. Now, in Fayette, we're looking at a live picture right now, and you can see downtown Fayette very quiet, no rain coming down outside in Fayette, so we're looking good there. Now, as we widen the map out just a little bit here, you can see how big this storm system is. There's a lot of rain and also a lot of ice off to the north. An ice storm warning is in effect for places in Paducah, Kentucky. But look at these temperatures. Right now we're at 67. It's 33 in Memphis. We put this into motion. Oh man, it gets cold quickly. Some places below freezing, and that's where we're going to watch for that freezing rain. I'm going to have an update on this and potential for freezing rain and ice accumulations in your full weather forecast.
And thank you, Ted. People on Ridgeview Circle in McAdory, they are counting their blessings tonight. They still have their homes after a wildfire came dangerously close this morning. The wildfire was first reported around 10. Our cameras were there as fire crews worked furiously to hook up hoses and get into the brush. The extremely dry conditions and swirling winds kept the flames on the move. Many people in the community were just coming home from church as the work pressed on. They tell us they are very grateful for the work that was done to save their homes.
We have a lot of sheriffs that live in this community, and we were just talking with one of them, and he told us that what they did was they saw the smoke, they went over the hill to look to see how far it was from our homes. Then they immediately got these fire departments out here to protect us. So we are more than grateful.
According to the Sheriff's Department, the fire was caused by a homeowner burning something on their property in a neighboring subdivision. And a fire in North Alabama has a community in shock tonight after swift-moving flames wipe out a state treasure. It wasn't that long ago that the Mentone Springs Hotel was added to the best-selling book, 1,000 Places to See Before You Die. But now all that is left of the 130-year-old historic wooden hotel is this, gray ash. One guest took it upon himself to try and contain the flames just hours after he and his new bride checked in. No one was hurt, but the economic impact for the community is significant, and a neighboring antique mall also burned. Well, a woman found dead inside a burning home in North Birmingham has still not been identified tonight. The woman's body was found inside the doorway of this home at 3205 52nd Terrace in Birmingham. Fire crews got the call around 10 last night. They were able to extinguish the fire quickly. At this time, the fire marshal is still working to determine what caused it. Coleman County deputies had to take to the air to chase down a murder suspect today. It all started around 1 this afternoon. That's when 911 dispatchers got reports that a woman had been shot inside a home in the Berlin community. It took deputies more than an hour of scouring the air by helicopter to track down the shooter. He was eventually cornered in the water of the Mulberry River. Investigators are not releasing the names of the suspect or the victim at this time. More information now on a shooting we first told you about last night at 10. We now know that one person is dead, another is injured, and a murder suspect is still at large. Take a look at this car. Investigators are asking anyone who may recognize this older, maroon-colored Toyota Camry with a white door to give them a call. They believe it's connected with the shooting that happened just after 7 last night in the 900 block of Erie Street, Wylam. That's where police found 34-year-old Harold Davis lying on the sidewalk. He'd been shot several times in the chest and later died at the hospital. A second person was also shot in the foot. A court date is now set for a mother accused of reckless murder in the death of her toddler son. Summer Wilford is currently in jail in Shelby County. Her next court appearance is scheduled just over a month away on April 3rd at 8:30 a.m. The mother was arrested after a fiery car crash left her 19-month-old son dead. The accident happened just after midnight Friday morning off of Kent Dairy Road in Alabaster. A balloon release is now scheduled for 6 a.m. tomorrow morning at Young Jaden's Daycare Center. A rapidly escalating crisis in Eastern Europe has the world watching. Last week, Russia moved troops into the Ukraine. As April Williams reports, Western nations are outraged and threats are mounting.
Troops with no markings on their uniforms surrounded a Ukrainian naval base in Crimea Sunday. The soldiers spoke Russian and drove tanks with Russian plates. They demanded that the Ukrainian soldiers disarm. No shots were fired. The new Ukrainian government is mobilizing its troops, bracing for war and asking for help.
This is not the threat. This is actually the declaration of war to my country. We are on the brink of the disaster.
Russian forces are already in control of Crimea. But in Kiev, thousands of Ukrainians filled the streets. One sign read, "Putin, hands off Ukraine." The United States is demanding that Moscow pull back their army or suffer sanctions reminiscent of the Cold War. Secretary of State John Kerry will travel to the Ukraine on Tuesday and says the U.S. and its allies are putting Russia on notice. Allison Harmelin for CBS News, New York.
Now the conflict in Eastern Europe may be half a world away, but it hit really close to home for one Alabama couple. Ronnie and Julia Mayhew, they always knew they wanted to adopt a child, and last year they found their match. It was a 12-year-old girl in the Ukraine. CBS 42's Melissa Kim, she joins us in studio. And Melissa, getting her home, this must have been quite a task.
Yes, well, good evening, Natalie. The Mayhews say they were never in any immediate danger while they were in the Ukraine, but there was still a lot of concern to get themselves and their new daughter, Eliana, out before things got worse. When Ronnie and Julia Mayhew first met then 12-year-old Eliana in June, it was love at first sight.
The first time we met her, we pretty much decided that we wanted her to be our daughter.
Eliana was in Alabama on a summer exchange program for Ukrainian orphans. 5 months later, Julia was in Ukraine to bring Eliana to Shelby County for good. But while she was overseas, violent protests started.
I mean, I was afraid. You know, we were, hey, how fast can I get out of here? I was panicking. I was calling the U.S. Embassy. Can you get me out? Can you get us a passport? What do we need to do?
Julia filled out papers to get herself and her daughter out of the country. To think about it now is overwhelming.
I guess maybe it hasn't even really hit yet what happened over the last week for me. It's really hard now to think about it. It was scary. I was afraid.
Here back home, Ronnie, taking care of 3-year-old Josiah and 1-year-old Lydia, couldn't stop worrying.
At times I think it was scarier for us that were here because we couldn't always communicate or get through to her, and we knew that there was people being killed over there.
But 89 days later, Julia and Eliana finally made it back to the U.S.
We taxied, actually, and I saw the American flag flying, and I was like, we're home.
And life can get back to normal for the Mayhews.
And now we can begin the process of being a family of 5 instead of being divided over 2 different continents.
Julie and Eliana got back to Alabama on Friday night. Now the Mayhews are helping Eliana with her English and hope that she'll be in school with lots of other kids her age soon. Natalie?
Thanks so much, Melissa. Well, still ahead on CBS 42 News, a family is more than mourning the loss of their 4-year-old son. They are working to honor him as one tough kid and others like him. And it all starts with the color blue. And Gus Malzahn is in Birmingham tonight along with Bobby Bowden, the coach, on what the award means to him coming up next in sports.
After all the craziness we've had this winter with winter weather, there's a lot of winter weather off to the north. We're going to be on the warm side this time, but a few of us may see some freezing rain. I'll explain all of this in your full weather forecast. That's right after the break.
And welcome back. Whether it's a medical problem or something else, every one of us probably knows a tough kid who's going through some hard times. Tonight, CBS 42's Mike McClanahan explains how some people are wearing blue in honor of those children.
Brian Carr had an extremely rare immune disorder known as PNP deficiency. His parents say it's a form of severe combined immune deficiency, or bubble boy disease.
And this condition is so rare. It's maybe 75 cases diagnosed in the past almost 40 years.
Brian stayed sick all the time, and walking was a challenge, but that didn't stop him from trying.
The tenacity and the toughness that he had is that he wanted to keep up. He didn't let obstacles stand in his way.
The 4-year-old battled through chemotherapy and a bone marrow transplant. Then when things were looking up, there was a complication. Brian endured pain and suffering that is hard to describe, especially for a parent.
The doctors didn't expect him to live a month when all the complications started to show up, but he fought and fought, and he was in the hospital for 10 months before he passed. He was just one tough kid.
The Carr family set up a website to honor tough kids, kids who are dealing with extraordinary problems, with smiles on their faces, kids like Brian.
Through our journey with him, we met other children like him. No matter the disease or the difficulty, there are so many children out there that endure great things, and if we let their stories sink into our hearts, it changes us as people.
Reporting in Shelby County, Mike McClanahan, CBS 42 News.
Now, next Saturday, March 8th, the family is hosting the Tough Kids Tournament at the Alabaster YMCA. The event runs from 2 to 4:30 p.m. Children can participate in a variety of games in honor of the tough kids who aren't able to play. For a link to the flyer and the One Tough Kids website, just go to ours at cbs42.com. Well, it's America Saves Week, and we've been giving you lots of tips on how to improve your financial outlook. Today, Melissa Rivas with Eco Credit Union has some advice on how to change your lifestyle to save.
Whether it is turning the air conditioner up during the summer and down during the winter to where it's not cutting on all the time, not running it constantly, maybe conserving water, trying to do less loads of laundry, hand wash some dishes versus running the dishwasher every day.
For more information on America Saves Week and Eco Credit Union, head to cbs42.com and look under the Only on CBS 42 link.
And now, CBS 42 weather.
This week's extreme weather video is out of today. This is Fayetteville, Arkansas. Winter just won't go away, will it? And we've had to deal with a lot of nasty winter, but so has the Ohio Valley in the north, especially the upper Midwest. They got freezing rain today and a little bit of snow. Look at that. That was familiar with us a few times this winter, but that was earlier today. Let's go out to our weather headlines, where we do have storms that will be moving in overnight, and yes, some of that freezing rain will also move in. Look at this. It's 45 degrees in Marion County, Hackleburg, Haleyville, as well as Hamilton, but 60 Arley, 66 Carbon Hill, and 67 in Birmingham. Can you find the cold front? It's right there. You can see it right here on this map. Look, it's 5 in Wichita, 32 right now in Little Rock, 33 Nashville. Look at that, 40 degrees almost difference there between Birmingham, 69 degrees in Jackson, but 36 in Shreveport. What a difference. All right, as we look out right now across, this is actually Tuscaloosa. Temperatures are nice and calm, but we do have storms that will be moving into the area a little bit later. Here's a live